So at 21 years old, I became a widower.
Wow.
And a single dad. That moment made me, if I didn't have my son, mentally I probably would have lost it a little bit. Because you at 21,
Right.
what do we think at 21? We got our whole lives.
You got everything.
Now you got just
Your,
straight
you,
responsibility.
Your wife, your whole family.
Exactly.
It's your life. It's right there in front of you.
And then all of a sudden,
It's gone.
Changes.
it changes.
Welcome back to another episode of This My Baby Daddy podcast. It's your boy AJ.
It's the bougie baby daddy, Eli. And with us today, we have somebody who's near and dear to my heart personally. Somebody we've known for 20 plus years. We've known each other a long time. And I've seen him, he's done military, he's done corporate America, he's done the boss of Fayetteville real estate, Raleigh real estate. He's the person that brought me into real estate and help develop the blueprint of what I was going to do and mentor, train. He's just a Renaissance man who does everything. Mr. Eric Anderson.
Hey man, look, with that type of intro, what do you need? I mean, good Lord. I mean, you make me feel kind of good, man. Look, warm and fuzzy. Look.
Don't take it that way. I'm just hyping you up. You already have a big head. I just want to introduce you and make sure the world know that, hey, you do everything, man, and has been definitely been an inspiration and a mentor. So yeah, I appreciate you.
And I'm just glad to be here with both of you. I've seen this, as soon as he launched the podcast, I saw it. I was like, that's just my baby daddy. I was like, okay, I like that. Because I knew it was going to be about fatherhood.
Yeah.
I know how both of you are.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I've been, I took a peek at a couple episodes and I was like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. I was like,
and you called me like, hey, you know better than that. You need to fix this. You need to fix that. So he definitely, he gave criticism and input without anybody else, without any prompt. He was like, yo, you better than that. You need to fix this, fix that. I was like, yo, that's my dude. So, hey,
because,
man.
it's all about looking out for each other. If I see something I don't, share it and say, hey, look, y'all could have, I saw this on there. If I don't do that, then I'm no better than the person just on the street just walking by wanting you to fail. I want you to succeed. So I'm going to be like, yo, I saw this is what happened.
And we appreciate it.
Hey, like, AJ, look, and what I tell you, man, with some people we get on here that talk. We ain't even got through the intro, and you see he running. Hey, 100 miles in the running. Hey, he ain't stopped talking since we said his name.
Hey, I thought we was on. AJ said, yo, we finna sit down, we finna go, and we're gonna go. We're gonna have a conversation like fathers, like brothers.
Hey, for sure.
Like, cool.
So we're gonna start you off the same way we start everybody off, right? So the first question we ask everybody is, what does it mean to you to be a father?
So, for me to be a father, the huge thing for me is to be there for your children. Because growing up, and I'll give you guys a little background. So I grew up in a small country town in Florida, Haines City, Florida, Polk County. Grew up poor, single mom. Dad wasn't there. My mom moved to upstate New York. She moved. It was just she and I. We moved to upstate New York because she wanted me to have a better education. She wanted to be there. My dad, I can think of 5 times being where my dad was around.
Oh, wow.
5. I'm that kid that everyone grew up on welfare, But for me, it was like all of that taught me when I had kids, I said I will always be there for my children. Wow. I said no matter what, I was not going to be, this is coming from me, as sorry as my daddy was.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be the opposite. So I wanted to be everything opposite that I thought he was because he wasn't there for me. Didn't pay child support, didn't pay anything. Mom's working 2 and 3 jobs.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like hardcore, like people see me now and they're always like, oh, and they have this perception of you. This,
right.
Yeah.
But the reality is I'm that way because of the way I was raised. And I was like, different things shape who we are and who we become. And for me, fatherhood is all about being there for your children.
Wow.
That's kind of, in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that story because I don't really tell unless they've been like around me. A lot of people don't know my story, so it's different. They see you now and they're like, dang, Oh, he's always had it that way. You know how you see somebody.
Oh no, for sure,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, cause you see me now, you haven't seen me my whole time up
yeah.
That's
You
right.
don't know my story.
You don't-
at all.
Yeah,
That's right. When they say his story,
Yeah.
that's my story, his story. You know,
Right.
because who we are today shapes us. And like for me, growing up that way, and then upstate New York. Upstate New York is totally different than the country town. I was in Rochester, so Rochester was the murder capital of the world at the time. So and it's like, okay, I got these two interesting dichotomies of what's going on, and then from there, as soon as I graduated, I left, joined the military. That's how I met, and for me, like, I have 3 children.
okay.
So 2 are my biological, and then I just got remarried. And my stepdaughter, I don't call her my stepdaughter. She is my daughter.
Of
For
course.
sure, for sure.
course.
So
No separation.
no separation
That's
of
right.
it, and that was huge. That's always huge for me. And even when my wife and we were talking, I was like, yo, I was like, yo, if we get married, I was like, hey, I'm gonna treat her like she's my blood. That means I'm gonna be hard on her. I'm gonna love her hard, and I'm gonna be caring for her and
Right.
be there for her.
Right.
And I think for me, man, a lot of my fatherhood was shaped when I was 21. I was in the military, married early. My first wife, married early, and she had my son EJ. So my son EJ. So I'm a 21-year-old father. I'm thinking, everything's going great. But my first wife, she got sick right after she had my son, and then she passed away. So at 21 years old, I became a widower
Wow.
and a single dad. That moment made me, if I didn't have my son, mentally, I probably would have lost it a little bit. Because at 21,
Yeah.
Right.
what do we think at 21? We
Yeah.
got our whole life.
Yeah,
We got,
yeah.
You got everything.
Now
ahead of
you got just
Your-
straight
you,
responsibility.
Your wife, your whole
Yeah.
family.
Exactly.
It's your life is right there in front of you.
Right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
It's gone.
Changes.
it changes. I had to look out for him. But then the most important thing was, that was the moment I said, life is not guaranteed. So let me take care of my family, my children, especially my children, because he didn't have anybody else to take care of them. Mom is gone. And for me, it made me realize that I could die any day. As fathers, we don't think about that, not at 21.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. You think,
no,
I
no.
got my whole life ahead of me. But that was the day I realized that I don't know what time is guaranteed. And that was the day that from that day forward, positive, happy, and not giving a damn about what anybody else think or how I'm viewed or anything. My authentic self always comes out.
Wow.
Because-
So that basically shaped you to this point.
Absolutely, to this point.
So at 21, dealing with a child, being in the military,
hmm
you said you didn't have your father growing up around like that, moved around.
Yep.
How did you learn how to be a father then?
So I know that's always the interesting for me. So after my wife passed away, I only had maybe 8 months left in the military because it was the end of my 4-year tour.
Okay.
Because I went in right after high school, so almost ended my 4-year tour. I was trying to take care of him, figuring it all out. My wife's dad, who lives in Leland, North Carolina.
Yep. Country.
Yep, country. Yep. Country.
Yeah, that's not.
Leland, Shalom.
That's a town.
Brunswick County, yeah. So we were, I was like, hey, I'm just trying to, figure it all out. He was single at the time, so he was like, hey, I'm down here. He was a pastor down there. He was like, look, till you figure it out, just come on down here. So I went and actually stayed with my father-in-law for the next year. Just getting my mind and everything together. We were just 3 guys in there together. He's been more of a father to me than anyone else. He showed me how to, because he had just lost his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was, EJ was his first, he has 2 daughters. EJ was his first grandson. So of course,
That's
EJ
a
is
special
not
heart.
Eric John Anderson. It's Eric John Anderson. The John is after him. He's not a junior after me.
Right.
His middle name is from his grandfather.
Wow.
So that's how, and I learned so much from just being with him and around him and how he loved his children, his girls, that it helped me kind of go, wow, I already had the thought process, but no matter what, he was always there for his girls.
Wow.
So, and then, to be honest, we were down there for a year, and then the next year is the year I met you guys. I mean, well, that's when I came to Fayetteville State,
Yep.
you know, for grad school.
Yep.
And I think you guys were in undergrad at the time, or getting close to coming
Yep.
to undergrad.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was, you know, that really helped shape, and he has been in my life since then as a father figure. So anytime I need something, you know, anytime I need to talk, he's always been there. So, you know, and that's why I call him Papa Brown, you know. you know, and it's just, it's a blessing to have that in my life, you know, and if I ever need anything, talk, anything, I can go to him with anything.
Wow.
I have a question. You said the way he loved his daughters. Do you have any sons?
No, he only had 2 daughters.
So
And
you,
then he
so he
considered me-
gained you. He gained you as a son.
Yes, sir.
Through not only marriage but through tragedy,
Yes.
Yep.
forged a relationship that you still held on to, and formed you into I would
That's
almost say a
yeah,
man.
it's like a
Yeah, absolutely.
So was there? This sounds crazy, but the trauma that you went through, dealing with that, and trying to refocus and actually be a father. I know you went back, stayed with him for a while, but how did you personally deal with that mentally and get to that point where you could be present?
Yeah.
Because I know that had to be hard.
It was hard because, and I'll be perfectly honest and transparent, even thinking about it like today, I can still verbatim in my mind see the night that they called me and all that happened. You know, like from the time jumping in the car,
Yeah.
going through, I mean, all of it is still almost like it happened yesterday. So for me, it was really focusing. I just focused on my son. I'm gonna be honest, if I hadn't had my son, I probably somewhere along the line needed to talk to somebody somewhere. But you know,
You didn't at that
I
time.
didn't at that time, you know, I just didn't, because it was just like, hey, all I focused on was I kind of did this kind of mental block of the situation, and I just focused on what does my son need. And that's all I focused on. So that kept me driven, that kept me wanting to do better, that just kept me, you know, right there making sure he had any and everything he needed, because I didn't want him to lack for nothing just because, you know, he had lost his mom.
Wow. So did you find yourself at times just, you know how some people overcompensate for loss?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, overcompensating where, you know, it would be with giving them different things, you know, because I worked super hard to get things to help try to fill that void.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like trying to fill that void, and, you know, and I, you know, did everything I could. You know, luckily when we were going through all the times, I was always in the tech. So I had videos and things of mom, even for his first birthday, back before videos were all, you know. So I had those things, and EJ was 14 before it hit him. That, you know, where he came, I remember him coming down the stairs, and he was like bawling, you know, crying. And I was like, yo, what's going on? Because nothing had happened that I knew. But then he was just like, man, I just miss my mom. And you know how, like, you talk about,
Yeah.
God, I mean, it just hit me so hard that I was like, you know, and we talked about it, went through it, but it was just such a tough, you know, like, you think you've done everything you can to help
Ease
through,
it.
to
Yeah.
ease it, right?
Yeah.
But in actuality, it was like, you know, did I do enough? Then you started questioning
Questioning
yourself.
yourself.
There's
Yeah.
nothing, and there's
Yep.
nothing you can do. And I wonder if I don't know if I ever, my mother probably has a similar story, but I can't remember me ever asking her that. But that's got to be tough.
Yeah.
Because I know as a child, you miss your parent.
Right.
No matter how much you remember. If you don't remember at all, you just miss the fact that I can't have.
Yep.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
know that there's a possibility that I don't have. I just can't have it.
Yeah. Or let's say he went and hung out with some friends, and he sees mom and dad there,
Yeah.
you know, different things. You know, it
And it's definitely different when you're just with dad.
yes.
Yeah.
Because just when mom
Yes.
happens, like you feel you can almost blend in. If you don't have a dad, there's a lot of other people that
Yep.
don't have
Yes.
a dad.
Yep.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But it's
That's
like
like a
it's very
common thing.
rare.
That's right.
It's very rare. You're like, I ain't got a mom.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And yeah.
That's tough.
Wow.
You know,
Rough.
And it was. And, you know, and like for me, I was just like, you know, but we got through that. You know, EJ, he ended up graduating from Fayetteville State. You know, he's fine, health, you know, all that good stuff. But it's, you know, it's still, you know, to this day, it's like, you know, that is shaping who he is too. And, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, and we talk about it like I still call him my Papa-in-law, Papa Brown. You know, we talk all the time, you know, and it's just like, hey, you know, we'll talk about things and go from there and just see how he's doing, you know, because it impacted him also. You know?
'cause that's a piece that will always be with you.
Oh,
You're not gonna shake that, and it's gonna shape you and stay in your memory bank forever. So even with you, you know, it's just always gonna be with you.
It is.
And so when you're talking about all of that, and you have 3 kids,
Yes.
and so when did you sit there throughout all of that, and that moment hit you that, hey, I'm really a father now? Like, when did that really hit you?
I think that I'm a father now. It would have been with all 3, you know. I think there's an age difference between, of course, my oldest, EJ is 26 now.
Mm-hmm.
Erica, she just graduated from ECU. She's 21, and then my little one, she's 8. So, you know, it's such a big, you know, difference, you know, and the way I handled EJ is different than the way I handle Erica.
Yep.
It's different than I handle LD.
Because different points in your life, different maturity levels.
Yeah.
Brother,
So that's why I'm
brother,
asking you that, because I know
Yes.
I know from your youngest.
Yes.
Then when you go to your daughter, that's a totally different animal.
Totally different.
So yeah, that's why we
it-
asked that question.
Yeah, because like Erica, when Erica was young, Erica.
You got to tell the whole story too. You got
Yeah, that tells a lot right there.
Yeah, because Erica was feisty. You know, EJ laid back. You know, real calm, cool. You know, like sons. You know, hey, Dad will jack me up if something happens. you
Yeah,
know?
right, for sure.
Erica, she was pushing the envelope. You know, she was like
Testing you.
testing me, just testing me
At the
all
right time, too, right?
At the right time, and you know, she was always just fiery. You know, and which I love when the girls are fiery because they got to deal with jokers like us. I mean, I'm just being honest. If I'm being real, I know how
that's
I was.
true. That's true.
And when you have and I
That's
love
true.
that she was feisty because I'm like, okay, she's gonna be dealing with the Erics of her time, the Eli's, and the AJs of her
Yeah.
time, and we know how we were
For sure.
for sure.
Yes.
So she.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. So, okay.
Hey, don't lie.
So, and like for her, and it was a different. I couldn't be as hard, and I had to be a little softer. But then also I had to be a little more
Overprotective.
overprotective and transparent with
Yeah.
her, letting her know, you know, that hey, this is how the world is out here, you know. And I think for her it was good because she's got even now strong personality, strong. When I say strong, with that I don't agree. So strong that sometimes when we're having conversations on the phone, I'll be like, if she wasn't my daughter, I would cuss her out, you know.
Wow. So it's like a debate.
It's like a debate, and you know, like I love her, and then later I have to go back and say, hey, look, I got a little fired up with that. because really,
Hey, you gotta go back and apologize.
Because I'm that close to, you know, like, oh my God, this is my baby, this is my girl, but she just knows where to stab, you know, and I'm like,
Nah.
oh.
I always feel like a good woman knows how to poke you in the right place. Now the ones you don't really like, you can ignore, but
be like,
a good one to poke you.
Yeah, they know poke you. Yeah, and you know, and Erica, like, you know, she has my personality, but she's a female. You know, and that's the part where we're so much alike.
Right.
You know, where you know, and it brings us close, but then I know I have to be like, okay, she's gonna say some old crazy stuff here, or challenge me on something. So now I be, you know,
You
ready.
puff your chest out?
Because I'm on the phone.
Hold on. Oh, okay. I'm like, yo, relax. Relax.
No, you better not relax. You'll end up.
Oh, okay.
She'll get it back. Look, because that's just, you know, she's strong, and she's like, now, Dad, that wasn't, you know, if we can, you know, like, oh, she's trying to negotiate with me. Okay, she's on it.
That is funny.
And Erica's that way, and funny enough, so is LD. She may be my stepdaughter, but she reminds me so much of Erica. And
Right.
she's so strong, like with her personality, where she's just like, and I'm like, gotta love them strong. You know, especially the girls. I love when they're strong like that because it's just like no one's gonna pull anything over their eyes.
Yeah.
And as a dad, we want our daughters to be, hey, strong enough to go from there.
Have enough independence that they know how to
Yes.
navigate different situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, you know, different situations, they're going to be approached with different situations. And, you know, emotion-wise, you know, guys, we can control our emotions a little better.
Yeah.
And one thing I've always taught them was whenever they would be in this, like, cry of emotional, I'll be like, hey, control your breathing, control your emotions. And I said that to all three of my kids because I said if you can control your emotions, you'll be able to control the situation.
That's true.
Because emotions will make you do some crazy stuff.
Because you can think,
Yeah.
you can process. Yeah, you got to be able to process.
You got to be able to process.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you're just hyped
Emotion,
up,
yeah.
Yep, you're irrational.
you're rational and
Yep.
you're ready to go. So, because I mean, there's been times where someone's said something to me or done something to me, and inside, oh my Lord, I try to keep that old Eric buried way
Yeah.
down because if that
Yeah.
Eric comes out,
It's a problem.
it's a problem.
Ah,
For me, because, you know, not for them,
Yeah.
for me, because, you know, that's the type of things that, you know, I talk to my children all the time about is just controlling your emotion. Because the only thing you can truly control is how you react to a situation.
yeah. Because you can't control the other
Yeah.
person.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So with your youngest, right?
Mm-hmm.
You say that is your daughter.
Yes.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? But how does she feel making that adjustment coming in? You coming in?
That's a great look. Let me tell you, that's a great question because she was, when my wife and I met, she was 3.
Okay.
So she was very young. So at that time, so it was a little adjustment because it was just her and mom.
Ooh.
You know, so
Selfish,
it's her,
yep.
yeah. So it's her and mom. You know, and you know she had to kind of adjust to it. At first, it was like, who is this person coming in trying to take my mama away from me?
Right.
You know, and then from there we just started to. I realized I can't come in with a buzzsaw trying to forge a relationship. So I let it ease into that relationship. So we eased into that relationship where she, because I knew naturally it was going to happen because she goes and stays with her dad and stepmom every other weekend, but I'm that principal role daily in her life,
Yeah.
male. So we eased into it, and then finally it was like, you know what? He's there for me, and she started realizing that I'm there for her without trying to force the situation. I was just like, hey, what do you need? When she saw that I was protecting her, when she saw that, you know, it's one thing to tell a child that, but it's another thing to show them that. We had a little situation this year. So, not she and I, but a little situation that happened at school that I told her if anything ever happens, she has my permission that you have to defend yourself.
For sure.
For sure. So we had this little situation at, you know, she's only in 3rd grade now. So she was outside. Some little boy who, you know, who is, you know, young black male in 3rd grade, he called it the B word.
Woo, early.
Early. This is 3rd grade now.
Yeah.
So, because she was in trouble and she didn't want to tell him why she was in trouble. So, they were outside. He called her the B word. And before she knew it, open hand. So, you know, of course you get in trouble. You go to the principal's office. You know, and I said, hey, you shouldn't, you know, you got to control your emotions, go from there. And then I looked at her and said, did you hit him hard enough?
Good. Oh,
You know, because I was like, you know, because I want
Yeah.
her, you know, but
Yeah.
that's when you show them that, you know, she thought she was going to be in like a ton of trouble. But,
Yeah.
you know, I had to talk to her about, you know, that. But the young man's, you know, mom called the principal and all this other good stuff. But then I said to the principal, make sure you tell the mom exactly what, because this is a black mama calling
Right.
about her black
Yeah.
son
Right.
who called my black daughter
Right.
Yeah.
a B.
Right.
You know, I said, make sure you tell her that first because I know, and after that, everything was fine.
right.
So,
And did she go to a majority black school?
no, actually, the school she goes to is
And that's what makes it crazier, right?
It makes it
Because you
crazier.
would think we would all be
Yep.
together. Because I know the area that you live in, so it's not like you're in an inner city school where
No.
it's just
No.
that banter that goes back
Yeah.
and forth amongst black
Yeah.
kids. It's
Yeah.
like it ain't many of us here.
No.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's probably about 25 to 30% black in the school.
Wow.
You know, now, you know, the principal of the school, she's African American female,
Mm-hmm.
so that makes it a little better. But yeah, you're exactly right. You would think this is not this isn't Rochester, this isn't
Right.
Rochester where you got 90% of the school being African American. You going back and forth.
Yeah.
No, but you would think that it would be that way, but no. Mm-mm.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was a lesson for her, but and she's very chipper and very positive, but also very fierce. She will fight back.
Mhm.
Like I said, her and Erica remind me so much of each other, but she will fight back and she will let you know what she thinks. And when I say let you know what she thinks, she sometimes has to get, hey.
So she definitely has the attitude to go with it. Okay.
Ooh, I feel sorry for some young Eric or some young Eli, some young.
Man, you gotta stop putting me in this.
Now,
So when you look back at it or navigate, because you've been married, been divorced, remarried,
Mm-hmm.
and then your youngest daughter
Mm-hmm.
has her biological father's
Yes.
stepmother. Now, how have you navigated the co-parenting thing this whole time?
That was another thing that just like blew my mind about her, because my wife was the one who was like, hey, nope, I want to make sure that he's in her life, he gets his time, all of that good stuff, and the way she treated him, based on whatever their situation was. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, shoot, you're better than I am. In my mind, I was like, look, but I was raised by a single mom, so I saw the struggles of a single mom. But she was all like, everything is always going to be fair. From, hey, they come here to soccer, like tomorrow we have a soccer game. Guess what? Dad and stepmom coming up. It's just
Right.
co-parent. She lives in a very different world than what most of us are used to, because and even her dad, her biological dad, we're good. We're like good. There's no, we're not hanging out at the bar together.
Right.
but
Not
we're
best
good.
friends.
We're not best friends, but we have her best interest in heart.
right.
And and that's the main thing, and I think the way she navigates and treats that situation, because I think a lot of people don't realize is mom has all the control of how that relationship goes with the with the biological father.
Got you. So how did you?
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Uh-oh,
yeah.
What did I hear something?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
we're going to keep going, Eli.
We
Get on to the next question.
See, I'm not
Hey,
shooting him this time.
No,
I'm
I didn't say
continuing.
anything. I haven't said a word.
It's his look gave it away, right?
I ain't say a word.
His look, like it's like his chest filled with air that he wanted to get something.
Listen, man, we've been talking all day, man. I need to breathe.
Well, you sucked in air that time.
Listen, I ain't trying to drink no water on set, man. I'm just trying to breathe. That's it. There was nothing happening.
So as far now, how do you keep ego out of it though?
As far as
Because men have egos.
Yeah,
Especially when it comes to either raising someone else's kid or watching someone else have primary.
yeah.
So how do you do that?
Man,
Because you have a big ego, and that's why I'm asking.
I have a big ego, but I also can sympathize with him, because, it's tough to see, your daughter being raised over here with, by mom and, stepdad. But now he has, of course, she's got two younger siblings now, two young. So, but I do, sympathize with him, because I it's got to be tough.
Yeah.
So I try to make it as easy as possible.
Okay.
We speak with positive, try to make it real easy, because I know it's tough. There's no other way to say it, because I know if I've had to, when I was going through my divorce, my daughter wasn't with me in those, latter teenage years. That was tough. That was real tough, because then, of course, you have that whole dichotomy of she's staying with mom, so of course she's going to be protective of mom, because mom is there. Yes, I love you, Dad, but you're strong enough, Dad. You go, you're good, Dad. I'm going to make sure mom is good. And that's the feel that I got,
Right.
and I'm going to stay here with mom, because, and it's, a lot of times our children will always navigate towards that maternal side because, I mean, that's part of them. They came from them. So, they carried them. Like you were talking about earlier, AJ, about it's tough on the mom, because you got mom and child. That's a strong bond. But I think our children sometimes forget about us, where we're feeling, sometimes we, as dads, will distance ourselves from that because of the hurt that we're going through, because they're not there, we're not able to interact with them.
So it's two things I want to ask that I had a debate with one of my uncles about. But my first question is, you started out with a son. Your oldest
Yes.
is a son. Now, when you had your daughter, how did your daughter change you?
So,
Or daughters, how
Yeah,
have
yeah.
they changed you?
It's different when you have, whether people admit it or not, everybody wants a man child. If you're a man, everybody wants a
It's a
son.
fact.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the fact that I was able to get mine out of the way first,
Yeah.
that was even better. So, but then when my daughter came along, it was a different feel. It was a different vibe. It was like, man, the way the way I viewed women and interacted with women changed. I'm just being
Instantly,
honest.
right?
Instantly.
For sure.
Instantly. I started feeling
Well, close to instant.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
okay,
come on.
okay, you're right. You got a point. You
It
you
took a
grew,
little while.
Yeah.
you grew into
It
it.
grew. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We ain't gonna be up here telling lies on this goddamn podcast.
Hey, he was on the way now. Yeah.
Hey, reel me back in. But once you have a daughter, all of a sudden you start thinking about your interactions and thinking about how you would want somebody interacting with your daughter, and thinking about some of the things that you did in your past that sometimes you go back to down your mind and you're like, man, maybe I could have handled that situation better. So but my whole mindset changed on that when that happened.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now, this is a debate that I had with one of my uncles, right?
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever been through this. So I'm going to ask you, you was talking about hurt and different things that you've been feeling as a father and all that when they're not there. Has your daughter ever, your oldest daughter, ever did something as she was growing, especially when she hits those late teenage, has she ever done anything that cut and hurt you?
Ooh. Yeah. I would say probably when nothing specific.
Yeah, not specifics.
Specific,
I'm
but
just
like her not. Whenever she was, in my opinion, teen mom for that time, and I was trying to say, hey, come to the house. I want to spend some time with you. I want to, but she was so teen mom and so, hey, this is going on that, that cut to the core. I mean, that cut me to the white meat.
Yes.
I'll put it that way. When you start talking, that cut so deep that I was like, you don't even want to come out. You don't want to come by here. What's going on? Why don't, look, let's go out. Let's hang. And then when you did get a chance during those teenage years where, it was weird. It went from, hey, daddy, I'm hurting you up, I'm throwing you around, daddy, to, hey, dad. This is feeling awkward.
Yep.
And then I'm like, sit down at the table, okay, I know this child on
Yeah.
the other side of the table with
Yeah.
me, but that was during that teenage, where they have a lot going on, and then you throw a divorce in the mix of that, and then all of a sudden it's like,
and you really never know what's said when they're not there, or what they're really feeling. You don't. You have no clue.
You have
And the reason why I asked that question, because I feel you, right?
Yeah.
And then the debate was because we all have past. We move around or have moved around or whatever. And I told my uncle, and he disagreed with me. I said, yo, the pain that a daughter can cause you from even what you're describing can actually hurt worse than what a woman can do to you.
Oh, absolutely.
I said it does. I said it hurts worse than what a woman, because
I don't look.
be honest with you, you can move
Say it,
around.
say it.
You can move around and find another woman.
Exactly.
But that's your
Yeah,
daughter.
can't find
Yes.
another daughter.
And that hurt.
That hurt.
And so I went through some stuff like that with my daughter, did some stuff. I'm like, dang, that really hurt. Or found out that, what I thought was not really what it was, and even though you know you're doing everything that you could possibly do, and I'm like, ooh, like I'm a grown man, but that kind of stab, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, so some people disagree with it. I'm like, I think that hurt worse.
That hurts. I can cut a woman out of my life.
Yeah.
No matter what. I don't care who. If you don't look,
Yeah.
I can cut you
Right.
out of my life.
Yeah.
My children,
That's
Everything.
that's
My
it.
daughters?
Yeah.
Oh no.
no, I can't.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. You know. And when they do something like that, all you do is because you're hurt, but you want that love and affection back again. So you're gonna try to do what you need to do.
But it still feels weird though.
Oh, it feels weird.
It feels like it's almost to a point where, and your daughter's young.
young. Yeah, my
and
daughter's
so,
young.
but what we're saying, I believe it happens to every father, especially
does.
when you're present or trying to be as
Yes.
present as possible. And so navigating it, because it's almost like I equate it to losing complete trust and transparency and the things that you don't know.
Yeah.
Like everything, it almost feels like everything that you thought
Yeah.
is not real, even though you know damn well
Yes.
you've done everything that you're supposed to do
do.
in the best interest.
In
But
the
yet
best.
you're basically getting stabbed like you're a piece of shit.
Yeah. Because you didn't do when you
What they
Look,
wanted
what
you to do.
when you're and it happens a lot of times when you're paying child support and then you're also helping when your daughter comes to you and needs all these things and you're like, oh dog, I just get this big old chunk of money right
No.
here for child support and then but then you still do it again and it's like still didn't help.
Oh.
And then you're like, okay, I'm giving it out over here, giving it out here, and I'm feeling this way.
Yeah.
It's like I don't mind giving, but I want to feel good with giving now.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
I got you. I got you.
You see what I'm
I
saying?
got
It's
you.
like, it's like, okay, well, I'm paying the child support. I'm giving you kind of what you want and what you need, extra outside of that. And then I'm still feeling like I'm being treated like a stepchild.
Wow. Fortunately, I never had to pay
Yeah.
child support.
Yeah.
But it's just that paying that time, that love, that
That
affection, and that pouring those gems that you feel like are gems that they need for when they get out. Because everything is like you preparing them for to be on their own. Yeah.
And now, so my daughter, she just graduated. She's, getting out. So for me, like, of course, our relationship is way better now from the, the time going through the divorce. But still, with some of the stuff that I'm helping her out with, and some of the questions she's asking, because now that relationship is building back up. That trust, that love is all there. But the questions she's asking me are the questions that I would have
You've already
and put in place.
And probably already answered actually.
And answered during that time frame,
Yeah.
and especially during that time frame when she wasn't with me,
Ooh.
where it's like, hang your head, and so I see it, and she's like asking different stuff, and I was like, in my mind, I said, why doesn't she know how to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, I was always, son, the daughter, hey, this is what you do, this is how you do it, and I make them go do it.
Oh.
I don't care if you make a mistake, I don't care but I want you to do it. I want you to call the insurance person. I want you to do, like she called me just a couple weeks ago because I'm, taking care of the car because I had promised her that.
Right.
So I'm taking care of it, but she needed something, but it's all in her name. Built her credit, did great. That's one of the things I pushed for them. No debt when they got out of college.
Oh wow.
And
That's rare.
Yeah.
both of them. No
Wow.
debt. So, and I put, where with her vehicle, I said, just make sure your credit score where it needs to be. Everything is in her name.
Wow.
I paid for the bill, including her insurance and all that, because I told her I would buy, but it's in her name to include the insurance. And she needed some type of insurance rider for a rental car she was getting or something she was doing. So she was like, hey, Dad, how do you da-da-da? Text message, I put the insurance person, I put her in there. Valerie, Erica, hey, Erica had a question. That's it. And let them handle it, email, because I'm just there to direct you. If I keep doing it for you,
You never learn.
you never learn. So,
Yeah.
and I just put them in a situation where they can win.
Gotcha.
So I have a question for you, and I'm gonna ask this question a little differently than we normally ask, because I'm gonna ask you for a very specific type of father, right? So if there's a young father, a young single father, that is trying to raise a child on their own right now, what advice would you give them?
A A young single father trying to raise a child on their own, I would say to make sure you protect the space for your child with the women or the people that are going to be in his life. It's easy for a young father to want to give his child a mother.
Oh,
So instead of just picking to give your child a mother, be very strategic about who comes into that child's life as a mother figure. Because that's powerful, because that's going to shape that child's life and influence that they have. Because that, if let's say the mom is just totally not around, be it, if they're deceased or they just have just walked away or whatever, be protective and bring the right person into that child's life, the right woman, in order to, help be that mother, and make sure she wants to be not just your wife or not just your significant other, but a mother to that child.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a package deal. And I think, we have to do that as single dads. Single moms have to do that also. Yeah. But we as single dads really need to look at it, because what looks good sometimes ain't good for you. Yeah. So
Preach.
that's just, kind of what I would tell a single, father out there, because you just don't want that extra drama that comes along with someone who's not really a champion for your child like you would be a champion for your child.
See, that's why we have this, because there's no way I could have gave no answer like that. There's no way at all.
Yeah, it takes a level of experience.
Yeah, there's no way in hell that came from me.
Nah,
Yeah.
that's dope.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
dope. So when you sit back and listening to your story, you've been like all your relationship statuses, different points in time when you had children. 2 have already graduated college. You have a youngest daughter. You teach financial responsibility, which is rare. Preach credit, preach strength, preach independence. But when you're gone and they lay you down, what do you want your legacy as a father to be?
I want it to be where it was, he taught me how to be a good person.
Wow.
Period. The other stuff will come along, but the most important thing in any of the lessons that I teach my children is to be a good person. Because we don't have enough good people in the world, and if you teach them to be a good person, I can teach you financial literacy. I can teach you all these other things. I can't teach you how to be a good person most of the time, if you're too far gone.
Yeah.
He taught me how to be a good person.
Wow. And you live in that way.
And,
And I see you personally doing so many things that represent that, from the way you run your business, to the way you encourage others, to the way you teach, to the way you mentor, and for you to take the time out to sit with us and talk about fatherhood, that's something that we cherish and we really, really appreciate, because you had other things you could be doing. But for you to take that time to sit with us and tell your story and tell the insight, the gems that you have, even though you talk 1,000,000 miles per hour.
I do.
I don't know how you moved from Florida to New York and sped up the way you talk, but we really appreciate it, man, and we thank you 100 times.
Well, man, I thank you guys, both of you guys, for because once I saw the podcast coming out, and I was like, at first I was like, that's just my baby daddy. I said, that's gonna be good. I just, and it was just a matter of thanking both of you guys for being here, and let me tell that story, because my thing is, I always want to see not only my children win, but like you said, I like to see people win. And if there's anything I can do for someone or help with something, you know me, I'm going to give you the info and knowledge
for sure.
to go from there. And that's just, I think if we do more of that, and I know AJ, he's very, very into, hey, like he said, black and gifted. We were talking about that beforehand. And that's one of the things I think we don't do enough of in our communities, that, ask the questions also. Because the people who have knowledge, sometimes people are afraid to ask them because they think they won't help them, but a closed mouth don't get fed. That's
For sure. That's business talk. That's life talk.
Everything. So
For sure.
I want to thank you both for, having me here and letting me share in this moment. And I'm excited to see what you guys do, because I think this is much needed. And, especially talking fatherhood and black fatherhood, because it's a different, we're looked at so differently. you know, and people don't understand what Black fatherhood really is.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different situation.
Yeah, it's not what's always portrayed.
Oh, absolutely.
Because how many times, and that's what we talked about when we first started. Black men just don't sit around talking about what they go through, how they were raised, where did they learn, you know, the things that they've experienced, and that's what we want to bring.
Yeah.
And like sitting down with you, sitting down with others, man, we learn something every single time.
Wow.
The parallels of some of your things that you've gone through, or some of the things that you and AJ, it's like everybody has something that they can pull from and relate to. And that's why we do this.
Yeah.
So,
and I love
thanks.
it, man. And I think this is going to be, look, I think you guys have a winner here. So.
I mean, yeah, we counting on it. We counting on it. You know, we counting on it, you know. But no, we appreciate it, bud.
Yeah,